I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Welcome, everybody. Since we're recording, today is Tuesday, July 6th, 2021. The Hannah City Village Council meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. Glasses. Come on, Brandon over there. You don't want to let me. First thing we have on the agenda is a public hearing for proposed annexation agreement for the owners seeking to annex property within PIN 1611300-010. Do you have a motion to open a public hearing?
Moved.
Motion by Johnston.
Second.
Second by Weaver. We'll have to roll call everything. So, Johnson?
Yep.
Sydak?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carried. So in your packet, everybody should have a copy of the.
There's multiple ordinances.
Yeah.
This is the west property. I think we've talked about it previously in length, actually. It got held up because of the way the plots were laid out, if I remember right. So, nothing new, I don't think.
The first one is the ordinance authorizing the entry into annexation agreement for the west property, 10-16-11-300-010 South Murphy Road.
We'll vote on all those underneath streets.
Yeah.
Police and planning.
The second one is, I'm just going over.
Should be one for zoning.
Yeah.
There's one authorizing the annexation, one annexing the property, and then one for zoning and ag.
Any questions? No public input? Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Johnson,
Second.
second by Pearson. We'll roll call it. Sydak?
Yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Public hearing is closed. Recognition of yes, we don't have any.
Nobody online.
Everybody should have a copy of their packet or gotten an email. Our minutes from our June 15th meeting. Any corrections or changes? Hearing none.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of June 15th.
I have a motion by Weaver,
Second.
second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Pearson?
Yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Sydak?
Yes.
Motion carries. Deanna's not here.
motion.
Everybody should have a copy of the warrant list, payroll. Entertain a motion to approve the treasury report and pay all outstanding bills.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Weaver. Roll call it. Gates,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Yes.
Pearson.
Yes.
And we're on to the engineer's report already. Grant, you're
Screeching halt. I wasn't entirely correct what I said. I'll walk through it.
okay.
So we approved an MFT program back in May, and what you do is you put together our expenses and what our estimates, what we believe they will be for both items that go out to bid and items that you do in-house for assembly materials. Send that down to, you guys approved a $93,000 program this year, which is 10% more than what we think it would cost to allow you a little bit of wiggle room. So you approved that in May, sent it down to IDOT, and they approved it, and then you went out to bid for your seal coating. We received a bid, only one, and it was high. And the only number that you got, and we'll get into that. But because of that, it was more than 10% over the estimate.
Of the line item.
Just that line item, correct. You need, in order to approve that, in order to approve that bid and approve the contract, you have to adjust your program. So what I'd like to do is present to you an adjusted program for your consideration so that then you then can consider whether or not you'd like to accept the bid price for the seal coating. So the first, as we go through this, there were 4 line items. There was seal coating, crack filling, spray patching, and sidewalk. And again, it came to about $78,000. You approved 93.
And the 93 was because of
Contingencies, exactly. You don't have to change that number. We're still going to have a $93,000 program. We're right underneath it, but one of the items is high, and a couple of the others we're going to find opportunities to save money. And so essentially, it's a wash. But I have to adjust the one in order for you to accept the bid for the seal coating. So what I would propose is a revised estimate. So what we did is took the real number and stuck it in here for the seal coating, adjusted some, but not all of the other line items. So there may be some additional savings there to again come under a $93,000 program, but your seal coating is a higher chunk, a bigger chunk of your program this year because it's the number that we have. So what I have here, in order for IDOT to approve you spending more than you intended on seal coating, you need to approve a revised estimate of costs. Again, the total is still 93, your program is the same, but the seal coating is a bigger chunk of that 93 while some of the others drop down.
The seal coating was roughly, if I get the numbers right, $13,000 higher.
Correct.
In your packet, you also have 2 emails, one from me and then one from Roger. Roger sent this one this morning that's saying that the crack filling low bid was just under $6,000 compared to our original estimate of $9,000. So there's a little over $3,000 saved there. And then they did the spray patching themselves with 2 days of work, and that came in at only at $1,800. And we had estimated $15,264 for that. So there's $13,425 savings there. So because of Roger and Tom's good work, we've saved about $16,000. The track billing is higher by $13,000. So the total program will still be underspent, I think. But according to these guys, we have to if anything's over, any line items over 10%, we have to re-vote on the program, the MFT program. That makes sense?
So essentially, I'd like to present you a revised estimate. Again, some of these others will come under, that's fine, the money rolls over, but like IDOT says, if you go over, essentially you have to approve that you knew you were going to go over on that item and revise your program.
And that's this one here.
Well, it's updated. He's got it here with some updated numbers. So
Right.
the packet, what you've got in your packet, I think, is the old program. The total dollars spent or the total dollars allocated is going to be the same.
Yep.
The total dollars spent will wind up being less than what we
That's the new one, correct? It was 52.
So we adjusted some of these based on our return back, like that 1976.
That one went from 7, there's the old one here, coming from 74 down there, and that one will be quite a bit lower, according to what Brian said as well.
So we just kept that one at 9 because.
I didn't.
Oh, okay. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
We didn't find, Roger was on vacation, we didn't find out till this morning, but
Oh,
the point is that if it's not over, you don't have to
yeah.
adjust.
Only if it's over. Only if it's the 10% over that line item, then we use
Correct.
that.
You're about 25% over, and then we discuss that when we review this bid. But yep, we need to let IDOT know that you were aware of a reallocation of the funds within your $93,000 program.
You're gonna need to hold on to that because you guys are gonna have to sign it.
I need 6 signatures were shown, if you're okay with it. I don't know if this is a voting thing or not. You're not spending money, you're just allocating it differently.
We've got it up for a vote underneath the streets and alleys reports if we need to vote on it. That's up. You can help us understand that if we need to or not. Does everybody kind of understand?
Do you guys want to vote on that now, or do you guys just want to wait for streets and alleys?
Vote on it now.
I do think you should address this before you address the bid that you received. That you do have to vote on, I think.
So, okay, so
So we're making a motion to adjust
The MFT.
The expenses within the MFT program.
the MFT program.
yeah, we're not changing the total budget amount, we're just adjusting it.
For the seal coating, correct?
Make that motion.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Weaver, second by Johnson. Roll call, Weaver,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Styak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Motion's passed. That's been approved. I'll sign for you.
It's signed, you can keep one, and I will send it down to IDOT and make them happy and make sure our books look good. You want to address the spray patch or the seal coating now or later?
We'll do it under the streets and alleys.
That's all that I have then. Thank you.
So, Michael, you're up.
Thank you. I've only got a couple things to report on. First, we've got those ordinances for the West annexation. The Planning Commission met last night to make their recommendation and their findings. So now it's coming forward for a vote. And then we have franchise agreement. So as I recall, to the century, they haven't signed it, right?
Right.
Okay. So we've got that up for a vote. We to it because they had removed the service fare section because they do not pay franchise fees for telecommunications, which I think is correct by the statutes, but we're authorized by the statutes to impose a telecommunications tax. So that's what we revised that for. We'll see if they want to accept it if we vote to enter into it. And then the last thing I have is I just want to remind everyone that the current disaster proclamation that's in effect is only from the governor is only in effect until July 24th. So after July 24th, assuming no new proclamation comes in, the provisions of the Open Meetings Act, which suspend the requirement for physical presence, will no longer be in effect. So there will be no more remote hearings after July 24th unless another proclamation is issued.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. I'll just have to resign.
I understand.
And the same would go for the Planning Commission too, and
Right.
the CBA.
Which means we'd lose his wife.
Sounds like. That's all I have on my report, but if you have any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Where's the boss?
Huh?
Administrator's report.
All right, so you got a sheet in your packet. This some highlights. We had the on-site audit last week. They did all the on-site work. That's why all the boxes are back there. They went through and pulled everything they needed to. They're still working remotely on some of the things. They did all the interviews inside and so forth, and so that's all done. Early indications are that there might be some modest changes. As always, because we're so small, there's some concerns about separation of duties, and so they had a couple suggestions there. We also talked about we had to go back, or if you remember last year, we put the original TIF expenses in general, and then we did journal entries to move them to the TIF account and BDD to the BDD account. And there was a lot of questions about how those dollars were moved and reconciling those and making sure that those were right. So there may be some adjustments that we need to make out of that. But all in all, I asked them for very candid, direct feedback and let us know if there's things we need to be doing differently. We really liked them. They had 3 people on site. They were direct, they were candid, they pushed us, they challenged us, they had good questions. They, all in all, I was very happy, and I think the audit is going to wind up being roughly, their quote was like $10,000 less than what we had been paying. So all in all, it was a pretty good experience. I met with Tri-County Planning about doing our 5-year plan is up, about doing another strategic plan if that's something the board wants to undertake. I've put some together the information from that and sent it to Tony and Caleb for their review. But any input you have on that in terms of whether we want to do it, and if so, what the timing of it might be. I'm all ears. Yes, Tony.
No, I was going to ask.
Okay. MFT we talked about already. Economic development. EMS, the manufacturing company down here. I did finally have a commercial real estate. Thank you to your wife for getting me in contact. Come and do kind of appraisal is not the right word, but an estimate of what they would list it for. And that came in at $160,000. I went and met with the folks at EMS again, and they think probably somewhere in the next 30 to 45 days, if everything kind of works out on their end, that they may be interested in buying that property. So if they do, we would then have to post, and if I understand Michael correctly, we'd have to post an RFP for 21 days and take all comers to bid on the property, and then we would accept whatever bid that we wanted to accept. And then the other thing we would do is based upon whatever dollar amount there, we'd have to have some discussions about, it is within the TIF district, so what TIF expenses would they be eligible for? What kind of program, if any, do we want to put together with them on that? The good news is it's not taxed today because we own it. So 100% of the new real estate tax would be coming into TIF, so that would be a positive.
How does that work then to add it into the TIF? They just have to amend, because obviously it's not the TIF now, but if we sell it and it goes into private hands,
No, it actually is in the TIF.
do what?
It's in the
Territory-wise, it's in the TIF.
Well, the properties we own in the TIF?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they all are, but that one is.
they should.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think the
that'd
only
be- that's a
exclusion that we
perfect
have
scenario.
are the
And then we're going to have to talk about where we put a new public works building and what that's going to cost us. So that's all to be determined. The one idea is to put it out at the sanitary, put it out at the lagoon, and whether or not there's space there to do it. Are the midges going to be a problem because they attack the current building?
sealed building instead of just a pole barn.
We've got a proposal tonight. We'll pass the stuff out later on a gaming cafe. Somebody wants to put a gaming cafe in over by the old, I guess they call it the mall, by the CEFQ ATM. We'll talk about that. Liquor license fee ordinance, we need to update it. It'll be on the agenda for the next time. We've already updated the ordinance, but basically we needed to be more clear on what the costs were. So we had $500 for each major classification and $250 for a sub-classification, and then the $25 per machine is a state requirement for the gaming licenses. So we're just spelling that out more clearly, and we're updating the application to apply for the liquor licenses based upon that. The food truck, their first permit was granted. They paid their first $50. I know that they were open 1 week. I don't know if they've been open any other week. Basically what they were doing is open on, I think they were open in the evenings over when Refuel was open. So I need to keep my eye out because every week they're open, they owe us another $50. I've got want to talk about the annexation process and strategies. I got that later. And then we've been getting some calls about last year we did a village cleanup day in August, and Zach and I have talked about that, but we need to set a date if we want to do it again, and if so, what the date is, and go about getting that done. So
Week after the community garage sales.
when is that?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
No, it's not that late, is it?
Well, I thought that those were always in May.
Are they over? I know a lot of years we did the cleanup day after they had their garage sales.
Yeah.
Everybody would throw their junk away.
It was in
I
May.
think last year it was on the 8th.
Yeah, the sheet said August.
No.
Yeah, after the garage sales is always a good one because we always get a lot of people just getting.
No one wants to buy it, I'll throw it away.
Exactly.
And I guess while we're on the topic, we have had some hiccups with our garbage pickup, and I've been in communication with them. And today we kind of had a unfiltered conversation about the need to improve the service, and I got some good feedback, so I'm hopeful that that's going to be better.
Yeah, something missing my road. Being on the edge of town, not understanding it was a village street. Man, some balls are up through the center of town.
That's it
No
for me.
problem. We're paying for a service, we're not receiving it.
On occasion, yes, I believe that to be true. And they
I
said that
would
there
say
was,
most of the time for mine,
yeah.
Oh, it goes right in the
We,
garbage truck?
Yeah.
Instead of recycling?
yes.
Yeah, I've heard whispers, but nobody's brought anything solid
Well,
forward.
because
But
you
I've
don't
heard,
actually see them.
yeah.
So for what it's worth, the contract is due next fall, 2022.
It's another 3 years.
Mm-hmm. So we've got another year with them under contract, so that'd be something that we'll have to negotiate next year.
We pay extra for recycling then? Is it more per truck than garbage?
I don't know the answer to that. I do know we pay a separate fee, but I don't
Yeah.
know. And the other question we've been getting is whether or not we should do landscape waste, and I don't know how you guys feel about that or
We
not.
talked about it once and there wasn't enough
Well-
interest.
Well, and
Everybody, we actually put a poll out in town there. Most people wanted it.
but they
Most people didn't want to pay anything for it. So it was
Well,
almost the same
like
percentage.
I know in Farmington, they have, their recycling is included with the land use. And so they do it every other week.
And they paid for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the people pay for it out of their.
Yeah, overwhelming.
It's
They
not-
came back and said, yeah, that'd be great if we had it. And then overwhelming, everybody said, I would pay $0 for that service. So,
Well, yeah. It
Because
just
we
depends. I don't know what the burning laws are. If you can burn like
Yeah,
on
we've got.
Second Street.
So some other plans that we're working on is to get proactive on code management rather than code enforcement. We need to do some things with staffing, with time, and I'll bring all that to you to approve. But eventually what I'd like to do is be proactive. So when spring's coming, we have a day over here by the water tower, and anybody that's got a golf cart that wants to get inspected can all come.
yeah.
We'll do it all at once. We'll give everybody their thing. We're done for the year. And then it's rather than it's gotcha, it's we're proactively trying to help that. For burning, when the fall comes or when it's time for burn, we'll start doing communications. You know, when it's grass season, how long can your grass be? You know, all of those types of things to try to be more proactive so the community knows, okay, this is what's coming. These are what the rules are. Make sure you follow them. And try to prevent, I guess, rather than catch on the back end. So we're working on some things internally to kind of put that in place, but it's going to be 6 to 9 months away. But that's an area we've talked about it before. Code enforcement's an area where we need to improve, and we're working on some plans. So I said I was done. I lied.
imagine that. So then nothing.
So yeah, the approval of the appropriations ordinance, we had a communications problem. We're still okay. We can do it at the next meeting. We just need to table that because we needed to post, I guess, the ordinance or the hearing public notice for 10 days prior to the meeting, which didn't happen. Or if it did, Lori knows it and she's not here. So we're just going to postpone that to be safe to the next meeting. So the information will all be the same. It'll just be voted on at the next meeting.
So nothing for finance then, and then down to sewer. Gates, do you have anything? You're on mute, Todd.
Sorry, I had a gas golf cart go by, so I turned it off. No, I haven't heard anything that's going on with sewer.
Got nothing on my end either.
Okay. Thanks, Todd. That takes us down to streets and alleys.
Incident reports did not get exhausted.
Streets and alleys.
What?
Streets and alleys.
Oh, I thought you said police and planning.
And see, there you go thinking again.
No.
Mr.
Go ahead, Rod.
So the only thing we need to do here is vote on the MFT bid. Or just accept it.
Oh, the bid itself.
Whether that
Yeah.
requires a vote or not. I don't know.
I would think it probably is approving
For expenses.
Well, we approved it already. I mean,
we talked about this every year, is when you approve the program, you then need to approve each expense within it. Okay. Can't vote, and it is approving a contract.
We've already approved the
the revised program.
revised program, so we can't vote on it until after that's accepted, right?
You did accept that, didn't you?
We did.
Okay.
Mhm.
You
I mean,
changed
by
the
IDOT.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but we can't actually vote on the bid until.
Does IDOT have to?
I don't think so, no. I mean, they told us that in order to be able to do this, you have to submit the revised estimates, so no, I would do it concurrently.
So,
Would you like me to present this bid or not?
You can present it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do think you need to sign, if you accept it, you need to sign, accept it, so. Like I mentioned earlier, in your MFT program, you had seal coating, an estimate in there, for, I'm not entirely sure exactly which streets, 50. It was the,
Murphy.
yeah, whatever we had in the 5-year plan.
East to west.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
There you go. So, as I mentioned, we had estimated that would be about $52,000 worth of work. You had one contractor bid, which is pretty common around here, R.A. Cullinan. They submitted a bid price for $65,516.20.
And that is in your packet.
Yep, $65,516.20. As I mentioned, it's about 25% more than estimated. Everything is more expensive than we had expected. It's oil, and you aren't the only ones seeing a very high single bid. So it's unfortunate, but you're not the only ones. So you have in front of you a bid for $65,516.20 to do your seal coating within your MFT program as you revised it.
So Michael, just to make sure, we voted to accept the revised program, which has this bid in it. Do we need to vote to accept the bid?
I thought we voted to adjust the line items, correct?
Correct, which includes this number,
Okay,
which is the bid.
right. I still think we should have a vote to
Yes,
accept the bid.
for the individual bid, we should still definitely have a vote just to make sure that
Fair
it's
enough.
covered. So,
But we can bid today.
yes.
okay, then I make a motion that we accept the bid, $65,000.
1620. Have a motion by Weaver,
Second.
second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Roll call it. Johnson,
Yes.
Sydak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes,
Weaver.
Yes.
Motion carried.
So I'll just summarize again. You're not spending any new dollars. You approved $93,000. We still intend to have a maximum of $93,000 through the good work of your staff. You're able to mitigate a high bid. So IDOT will be happy with the paperwork that they got. You can move on. Thank you.
So all we need to do is sign that and give it to you? Okay.
Anything else under street child?
And so the guys are good to go?
Yeah.
They can run with the program.
Police and planning, Mr. Johnson.
You sure?
Yes. Are you sure?
Well, it's the second time now.
No.
Hey, you got ahead of yourself.
Incident report, we'll update that later, because I did not unlock the office, I don't have keys on me. Need to tackle the 3 ordinances for the property on South Murphy. This is basically just an empty farm field, correct? And we're thinking on the right property on the west side of Murphy. So the first ordinance authorizing is that in the right order on here?
Yeah, it should be
Annexing.
authorizing the
Yeah.
annexation. So,
Authorize the entry into an annexation agreement for the west property. I'll make a motion. I'll make that motion then for the ordinance authorizing the entry into the annexation agreement for the west property, ordinance number
0701.
21-0701.
Do I have a second? Second by Sidak. Any further discussion? Everybody understands what this is for? Just to enter the annexation agreement. Further, we're going to roll call it. Sidak?
yes.
Pearson?
Yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes. All right, next, here's the ordinance annexing certain territory owned by West, because we're actually contiguous with this property on the north side, so this actually is a full annexation instead of an agreement. So I make a motion, accept that ordinance, number 21.
0702. A motion by Johnson. Second by Pearson. Any further discussion? We'll call it. Pearson?
Yes.
Gates?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Sidak?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Lastly, ordinance rezoning the property ag. It's just an empty agricultural field, so make a motion on ordinance 21-0703.
A motion by Johnson. Ordinance 21-0703, just to zone it ag. Any questions or? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Pearson.
I have a question. Why does it have to be rezoned ag? Isn't it already ag?
It is under.
It doesn't have a zoning class in the village yet, so we're just giving it one. It could say ordinance zoning or rezoning.
Any further discussion? Roll call that. Gates,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
and Pearson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So ends my report.
Oh, this one's just for me. Memorandum just for Michael.
Yeah, you sign it, and then we'll record it.
Oh, did we ever check into all of the properties that are missing memorandums?
Well, in theory, Myrna and Fred did that before they left. Now, I haven't gone back and checked, but that's what they said. They did.
Did they give them to you then to go back on?
Seeing. We got all those memorandums. Like the file stamp ones that we were asking.
Do what?
The file stamp ones, like when you go and record it, they give you a copy back at the recorder's office with a file stamp on it.
Well, I know some of them never got memorandums recorded,
Okay.
because that was the issue we had with the guy that got the pool variance out in the subdivision west of town. Is he bought the house and had no clue it was pre-annexed. We really didn't have any recourse with him because, and your title commitment's not going to show it's pre-annexed either because there's nothing recorded against it. So, because I went back and looked on that one and there was nothing. I don't think any of those, or at least the ones I looked at out there, including his, did not have a memorandum. Because that's when I initially emailed you and Bill, like, is there such thing as a memorandum of annexation? He said, yeah, we'll record them, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the early on ones we didn't do or if there was a stretch in the middle we missed them. But I know some of the properties don't have them, and I think it's important because then we know for sure that anytime that property transacts, whether they realized it or not, they knew it because it was in that title,
That's how they're on notice. I think.
Exactly. It's in that title commitment they're getting when they buy it. So as long as, people are getting warranty deeds and They can't say they didn't know it just because they didn't read it, so.
That was probably the earlier ones. I would need to see those property addresses and check our files too to see if there's signed.
So there's two issues. One would be, did Myrna and Fred actually, and I would assume they did. They told me they went back and did it. And then the second would be, did they send you copies after they?
Yeah, and I'll have to look.
They did.
Yeah, basically, did we get a stamped recorded copy back here? Is that what they would have been checking it against? Or were they just going online real quick and checking to see if it was?
I don't know how they did it.
Okay.
They should have gotten a copy at the recorder's office when they went to go record it.
Oh, because we probably recorded that ourselves.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And then you guys, I think, just scan us a PDF of that.
Okay.
For my office to have a copy.
So they should have been able to just go back in the files and see which files didn't have that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do know they were in here going through all. I saw them going through all of them. So, but again, I don't know to what extent.
Okay.
What was or wasn't done. Caleb.
Okay. Yeah, and then that final list probably means they didn't have it, but we could double check it on, against the recorder to see if it. We just didn't forgot to put it in there or something, just so we don't. I guess it wouldn't hurt to do it again, but technically,
I mean, we could file.
Where would
Yeah.
at any time.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you go back and find which ones don't without having to go through every one?
Well, they already went.
You guys do that.
They don't. I mean, supposing Myrna and Fred went through the file to see which ones had recorded copies back here, which need to be recorded it. You could also then that list of ones that don't have a copy in here, you could double check with the recorder. Go online and see does it have it. We just didn't bring our recorded copy back or forgot to put it in the file, but more likely it doesn't have it. So we just need to go back and do it for those properties. So
Record it, yeah.
yeah, just make them up. Yeah, make sure it's on each one of them.
I'll check with Fred.
Because that helps planning and zoning also. When they have somebody come in, they have a way to check easily. They can get right on the computer and check easily, see if a property's been pre-annexed or not, whether they need to send them to us instead of issuing them permits or things like that.
Yeah.
So, because I know they've had complaints about that. They're like, we have no way of knowing some of this without,
If there's nothing recorded, yeah, no one's gonna.
Yeah, exactly. They have no easy way of checking to see, if it's been, because they went down the road with some people and then realized, oh shoot, we should have stopped them initially and sent them back to the village. So,
Is that something we need to go through each envelope and see?
I want to follow up with Fred because they
Okay.
told me they did it. So
yeah, because we talked about it before he left office. Yeah. If they have that list, then we just need to get it to the attorney. So, now I'm done.
Now you're done?
No, positive.
Sure. I'm
And
calling you again.
full plug.
Thanks, Caleb.
Yep.
Water, Mr. Pearson.
Yes, sir. Had a total of 2 checks for the escrow refunds for a total of $100. And that is it.
That was easy. Building the ground, side.
As we were speaking about earlier, we'll talk a little more about that village cleanup day. So I mentioned that we could have it after the usual garage sales. Have we already had our garage sales this year?
Well, they had one in May.
I always thought
The
they had a
community.
fall one too.
who's they?
Park District, I think, puts together the map.
I thought it was an individual person
Oh, is it?
because they just put it on the Hannah City Happenings. Who wants to sign up for?
Yeah, they try to coordinate that way, to try to draw more people in town to it. Like, hey, there's going to be 15 garage sales in town the same weekend or something, or same day or whatever.
We don't know who does that or what the possible timing is.
No.
I know
I thought
at
one of
one
the Park
time
District put a
Kim
map
Buster
together.
did it,
Yeah.
but that's been as far as I know. That was, and so maybe
Maybe they,
the Welker lady,
Megan.
Megan
Walker.
might
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, because I thought the Park District one year did it, and they put together a map that so you could go to the Park District Facebook page and it's like, okay, here's all of them that are in town this weekend. You get more bang for your buck if you drive to Hannah City because there's so many to visit. But
So Zach, can you check with Megan Welker and see if we can find her?
Yes, I actually know her. I'll put out some feelers, see what everyone.
See if she knows.
we quit having them, so we quit paying
If
attention. when they
we're not having another one, I don't see why we can't have August 8th or whatever the equivalent would be if it's on the
Well,
Saturday.
doesn't the garbage company, we got to coordinate with them?
Yes,
Yeah.
it did, because in previous years it was the city or the village crew that came and picked up before we had signed up with.
I think that was just, we came up and picked up some of the bulk items.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one year we had the backhoe follow the garbage truck for a while, thinking, oh, there's going to be couches and chairs. And about halfway through town, I think Tom just gave him the cell phone number and said, call me, because there was nothing. It ended up not even being hardly bigger than a regular garbage day. But
So to Zach's point, if there's no garage sale, we can, whatever date doesn't matter to anybody.
Right.
just let PDC know that it may be a bigger day. You know, than
What does it entail? Just people leave the stuff out at the end of the driveway kind of thing?
just more stuff.
Yeah, because
It's a day we coordinate with PDC that you may have further, you may have bigger stuff put out there. You may have to make 2 trips. Yeah. You may fill the truck up quicker, and that way they know to plan. It may not be one sweep through town, but I think the last couple of years, I don't know if they've even noticed more trash.
I know last year they said that there wasn't that big a difference.
Yeah.
And we could post it to the website too, and we could also talk in conjunction with the Park District and let them know, so.
Brian, you said you had the email of the,
Yeah, I can get you the contact guy at PDC.
other than that, nothing else to report at the time.
Okay. Thank you. Next on the agenda is, under other business, is a franchise agreement for fiber optic services in the village of Hannah City. Took this, I made some changes and sent them off, and then I guess they sent some more back, removing some stuff. Then Michael and Bill and them looked at it again, made more changes, and this is our final ordinance that we approved to try to get sent off. This does have a change where they don't authorize the telecommunications, the franchise fees in this. But as a village, we are authorized to impose a telecommunications tax on a business doing business within the village limits.
Yeah, up to 6% on gross sales of telecommunications sold at retail within the village.
So remind me, they didn't want to do the license fee, or they were okay doing the.
Normally, you don't do it on.
That statute that allows us to get telecommunications tax also has a section that says no franchise fees are permitted for telecommunications.
So let me ask a more direct question: are they okay with that, or do we know?
We don't know. Once we approve it, then we'll send it off to them for final, saying this is what we have approved, and then they'll send it to their lawyers and say.
Got it.
So it could come back to us and we can have it back again if they want.
This will be our offer to them if it gets approved tonight, and they could hit another
So
counter
voting
offer.
on this makes them gives them primary responsibility. They're our vendor when it comes to fiber optic, and they're going to have to pay a 5% tax. If they do agree to that, then we move forward.
Right.
If they sign it, yeah.
If they
if
sign
they
it.
agree with it.
Got it.
Well, actually, they don't pay the tax.
No, they would
customer would.
impose it on the customers exactly, and then it gets remitted to the Department of Revenue. I don't know if they get their hands on any of it, but then ultimately they probably do, and then ultimately it comes back to the municipality.
I've heard from people in Farmington and other places that have them. They say these guys are great. The feedback I've got has been very
Yeah,
positive.
I can't wait.
Most people are clamoring for them to come to their town and get set up. That I've heard.
Yeah, and the good thing is, they're actually going to lease. They're going to lease some temporary fiber to get into Hannah City.
So they run their own
until they can get their backbone up, because they did get that federal grant to do all that rural development area, and that actually is west of Hannah City where it stops. So they're actually going to lease fiber between there and here to the to wherever they decide to put their box. And I haven't heard back from Aaron yet on that either. If they had talked to the guy at the car wash about the property, and did you see my email on that?
Maybe it's been a while ago. You have to refresh me.
And wanted to see about what it would if they can't find a property, because they're wanting to buy a piece of property.
Yeah.
And then we may have to, they want to try to keep it centrally located. Of course, they want to try maybe down at the bus barn, but that's already
at the bus barn.
The lot.
Oh, the village.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
can't really do anything with that.
Exactly. And I had already talked to them, you know, about, hey, we've already had an agreement. If we go to sell any property, it goes to them. So we've already had that agreement. So the only thing I could think of would maybe, you know, chunking out a piece on the back of the village lot here. We only need like a 20 by 20 place to put a 5.
Oh yeah, I don't know if there'd be. I mean, they'd have to come look at that first with the slopes back there and everything if they want to.
Because they're going to put a pad. They're going to
I don't know
probably.
if there's a flat spot back there. Doesn't that go straight downhill off the road?
It doesn't come straight. It tapers. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't drop as much as the driveway does.
Yeah.
But they'd just be putting in a pad, leveling it up, and.
I mean, they'd be on right away for part of it probably, so they wouldn't need anything. Yeah, it depends on what they want. If they sign long-term leases on the stuff, or they actually
Purchase.
purchase.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have, like, if they did want to break a 20 by 20 foot piece of property off, obviously is smaller than any ordinance allows. I don't know if we put it in there, but a lot of places have exceptions for like utilities. That way, like a gas company can own a 20 by 20 foot. You know what I mean? It permits smaller pieces than ordinance than the zoning would normally allow if it's utility exceptions.
Brandon,
Towers and
what did we
things.
decide?
But I don't know if we have that in our zonings or not. But
No.
yeah, I doubt we do.
They live just on the
I
other
mean,
side of Dollar General.
We're the one approving it. I know we're violating probably technically, but usually that's the exception. The utility company can get any size piece they want.
They really don't want
to put a little building on it or a pad, so they're not required to have a
couple of times.
minimum size.
They bought whole parcels.
You
Just
know,
put their.
That's what I would think they would do, is buy a whole parcel. I don't even know if we can restrict that either.
you could. I mean, zoning, yeah, minimum lot sizes.
Okay, true. But for public utilities.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Usually there's an exception in there for towers and utilities and stuff that they're not. Yeah, and maybe that's already kind of baked in on a level above us or something that they have that exemption somewhere. We approve it anyway, so I don't think anybody's going to complain if just sign the platform or something, you know.
I imagine.
Yeah.
But then again, that's cost. We have to have the engineering cost to have that done.
Well,
Whatever.
depends. They're buying it.
Yeah.
I know what I'm saying, but something.
They would have to insure
Yeah.
Eventually, yes, but initially that's something we'll have to incur upfront.
No, have them hire the whoever they usually use for those services to do it. I mean, we could have them have Farnsworth do it, but we could also tell them if you're buying this piece off of us, then get it surveyed and present us with a deed to sign. You don't have to do any of it. We're not beholden to any of it, so we could just make it. They sign a purchase agreement. Buyer's responsible for all costs, all professional costs. So responsible for survey and deeds and everything else. So yeah, we wouldn't have to really incur anything. They just pay all of it.
Yeah, I'll talk with Aaron on it then.
And so if it's a piece of property that, if we're selling them a 20, if it's something we own and they're buying from us a 20 by 20 foot blank piece of property, then they will spend more having deeds drawn up and having it surveyed than the property's worth by a factor of 5. I mean, 20 foot, but 20 foot piece of property is not worth anything. That's, empty. You'll pay more for those fees than the property's even worth. I mean, by far. So, yeah.
So we'll get onto that once, and if they come back with this. So in front of us we have franchise for fiber optic services, ordinance 21-0704. Do I have a motion to approve for me to sign into this agreement? I have a motion by Weaver.
Second.
Second by Pearson. Any further discussion? I forgot where we left off.
it was, Gates was the last one.
Okay, so Weaver,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sidak,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
carries. I'll go ahead and get this signed and get this sent over to Aaron at Mid-Century, and then we'll follow up and see what they come back with, Michael. Brian, I'm gonna let you talk about the gaming.
Okay, so this gentleman, George Hunter, approached Billy and his team. They want to lease the center portion of, I guess, what's called the mall, to put in a gaming cafe called Rizzy's Landing. You've got in your packet some documentation on what it does. This guy has one of these in Pekin already. It is pretty simple. It's a small restaurant. It's got a cooler, and we've got pictures.
Yeah, everybody should have
so,
copies of the pictures too.
You can see that from the one in Pekin, they got a small little cooler that has bottled beer in it. Pretty small. It's basically a vessel for my perception of having the gaming for people who don't want to go to a bar or tavern and be around smoking and drinking and whatever goes on in those places. So it's a little more laid back, low key location for gaming. He sent me some information by text today saying in Pekin they're paying roughly, I think their first year they paid around $14,000 worth of sales tax to the city of Pekin in their first year of operation over there. Again, I don't know what the rates are and so forth, but he wanted to give us a feel for what that would might do for the city. To me, the big questions are if we do this, or if you all want to do this, there's two things we have to do. If I remember right, Michael, one is we would have to, again, increase the liquor license to accommodate it. And then I think we would also have to increase the gaming license because I think we're capped out there.
Yes.
To do that. I didn't. If you all, I didn't bring anything into a vote this time because at the end of the day, if you say, hey, we're interested, we want to move forward, then we'll have to write up the ordinances to increase the liquor license again and write the ordinances to increase the gaming licenses again. And I didn't want to spend that money without having some discussion here with you guys as to whether or not it was something that we even had interest in bringing into the village.
How many gaming locations are there right now?
Well, you've got Sportsman's Club,
Refuel,
Tap, Refuel, Warehouse. So this would be 5.
Yeah.
Those are all focused on food and drink with gaming. This is aiming to focus on gaming with some food and drink, essentially.
Right. Basically, they're non-actual bar locations.
But you have to have a liquor license. That's a state rule in order to operate.
Get the gaming machine.
And then you can see the pictures of the place that it kind of, it's a little lower key, laid back type environment.
Yes, the other ones are really high charged environments. I don't know if the other ones are really high charged environments.
I'm not making the point very well. The others are bars that have gaming. This would be a gaming location that has a beer if you want one, or a sandwich or burger or something like that if you want one. And if you read the write-up he put in, I think they offer soda and other things for free. So I don't know if I'm reading between the lines, but when I read the proposal, what I think I'm hearing is we want to do gaming and we want to do things that will bring people in to do gaming rather than make our money on other things. So the gaming is the lead, the others are there to kind of support it versus when the other places it's beer and food is the lead and gaming is also there.
How much? Do you know how much we've been getting back from the other? Who else has 6 machines right now?
I think everybody.
Everybody's maxed out at 6. So what have we been getting from them?
I don't know the answer. I do know that in some of other discussions I've had, my understanding is that the is that what it says, 15?
That's what we're budgeted, and that's for the other 24 that we have.
Say what now?
So we're budgeted for 15,000 right now of income on the other 24 machines that we currently have.
Yeah.
Was Refuel in for a full year last year?
Probably not. So I think they opened when it got towards summer, didn't they?
Yeah, they
I think
were.
it was around
Yeah,
So we would have had just a half year of them and a full year of warehouse and
yeah.
sportsman's club.
Plus COVID.
Yeah, that's good. Yep, that hurts. Because these numbers are based upon estimated actuals from last year, so this would be off.
Yeah,
It's a ballpark.
625 machines, so it's probably going to be more than that, obviously, with everything figured in. But they're sure hitting a lot smaller market than Pekin. I don't know if I see a 1-to-1 correlation here.
Especially since we already have.
Especially,
24 machines.
you're in a town that's already got 24 machines at 4 different locations.
Less than a half mile stretch.
Yeah, you can walk to the mall in 15 minutes or 20,
Well, they don't. Well, they serve.
I'm trying to think here. They're saying they're after a market of people that want a gaming setting that's more laid back. But does that market actually exist? Is there an actual demand for that?
It is
That's their problem.
in the older market, which Kansas City has a lot of, but they've already got several places to go. And those are bar settings, which they might not want to go to as much as they would want to go to.
I haven't been in the sportsman's club. Is it their bar or is it?
It's its own room.
Yeah.
So I haven't been to sports.
You've been to the sportsman's bar.
Learn new stuff? Yeah. Again, I'm Switzerland. But I think it's a philosophical question for you all as representatives of the community. Is that something that we want another one or an additional version of that in the town or not? And the downside is you've got, not that we would do it because of that, but you've got a landowner there that's trying to get people in to lease the property, and so
Right now it's just an empty building for the most part. Are the gaming licenses handled the same way as the liquor licenses?
What's a
Or like
liquor
we
license?
approve to increase it, but then it's your discretion.
Yeah, they get a liquor license, and they also have to have a sub license for the machines.
yeah,
And then it's
that's $25
$25
each for those. Yep.
And then we get tax revenue off any
We would get sales tax revenue
sales
off
tax
of.
revenues.
Off the machines, or
I don't think
it's
so. I
some
think-
percentage off the machine, some calculation, but sales tax off the food they would sell.
I don't anticipate that being a whole lot.
And my understanding is the machines are a third, and a third. The owner gets a third.
Oh,
the
there you go. Yeah, I think you're
state
right.
gets a third, and they pay out.
Look on that. You can by community, sort by community. It's shocking. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do it, and
So
I
that would
don't
be
know what the-
revenue coming in to the village, basically, if they make it go up.
If they're successful.
Yeah.
Not initially sold.
And that's
you want to say something about it. I see it.
Well, yeah, I don't know, I haven't heard any negative talk about gaming in the village or too much gaming or that. So
I suppose it's up to them if they don't make it. So
Yeah.
they're
And I do agree that some people would like to go without that bar atmosphere if they're into gaming.
I've been there 24/7.
See, I'm not one for the bar or gaming. So I am not your target market.
then what are you?
I'm neutral. I'm Switzerland.
So I guess the question is, do you want us to proceed with ordinances to increase the liquor license again and the gaming license again for this purpose?
No,
yes,
I say no.
We got one no, one yes.
What are your thoughts, Todd?
I just think we have enough gaming the way it is. We're close enough to the Riverboat Casino. If they want to go to a different atmosphere, they can go there. 24 machines in our town, that's plenty. We don't need any more. That's all. I mean, that's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get more revenue from something else.
Feel that way, and there's others that feel the way Rod does. So it's
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking we have a empty building there with no revenue.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something else go in there. That's all.
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, ideally.
Down the doors.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it would be nice to have another business, in there drawing revenue and sales tax. But the problem is finding a business to do that. I mean, we have this opportunity, for them to be able to actually come in and do this. And sounds like he's all on board.
There's 3 or 4 other spots there too besides that, or
The old Scissors Edge, Pam's old place, and
Well, I guess yes and no don't have to be the only answers. Not now would be another.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be yes or no. It's just something we can actually just it's just a discussion. We're not voting on anything tonight. So
Although I'm going to have to call the guy, and I'm going to have to talk to Gully, so because it's his building, and I'm happy to do that. At the end of the day, you all need to do what you're comfortable with.
and that's something we can table for next meeting.
I always put a lot in when they show up to prove their point, but that's just me.
He's willing to come. I didn't.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think he might not have been available for tonight or whatever, but I can have him come back if you want.
I know we talked
That's
about
up to him.
the 15,000 from our gaming taxes. But is it possible for us to get some better estimates, perhaps from them, about what they maybe foresee to take in, or basically some numbers for us to look at and say, okay, that's what.
So the number he gave me for what they're doing in Pekin was 14,000. But again, to Caleb's point, it's a
Sales tax?
I think that's. I got the text.
Do up.
Brian said 14,000 sales tax.
Oh, okay. For the year. Yeah. So that'd be a lot of hot dogs for a month. Like a lot.
Yeah, but when we get money off of the
machines themselves. If you take the 15,000, we have budgeted about 24 machines. That's 6.25 a machine per year. Which
Last year is not a good number to base it off of since it was COVID and we were.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get above that somewhat. I don't know if that's another $100 a machine or.
I don't know. Also, people's views have changed since COVID. Want to go do
Yeah.
more stuff.
We got 1 yes, 1 no, 3 unspoken. So are you yes, no, not now? Wait.
Would you like them to come and talk?
I'd definitely like to hear more from them, because it's really a decision between, do we want all this extra revenue, or are we gonna stand our ground, lack of a better word, morally, and see if we can grow in a better direction? Because growth, yes, is important, especially for our village, but it's important that we grow correctly. That's the same. Let's have another bar. Let's have another pop-up, whatever. We've got a lot of bars, a lot of places serving alcohol. Is it possible that we let them proceed without giving them the liquor license?
They have to
They have to
to get a gaming machine. You have
the
to
state tied those two together.
If we deny the liquor license, it's just a whole new.
Well, we'd have to add more licenses to our ordinances.
We'd have to redo both ordinances to allow another gaming license and allow another liquor license. Yeah, because we max out each of those with what we have in town. To preserve profits of, I guess, the people in town and protect the businesses there and to limit the amount of businesses of that type we have too.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Is it possible we could put a poll out?
Yeah, I'd love to hear what the community has to say, but
You would have to ask them that.
you're right. How do we do that?
Well, I can just throw out, Gully can put a poll on Hannah City happening.
Oh, mercy.
That's
Yeah.
that's right.
If he wants to go through those,
Nobody wants to go through that.
Oh, you guys know people in the community. What do you think?
honestly, I don't. I don't know.
We don't even talk to our
You'd have to ask some people on your own. Problem is if you put it on something like that,
Then
Yeah.
it gets all blown.
you have people in Kansas that used to live in Hannah City commenting on the fact that they haven't been here in 30 years, but they want to see it or they don't want to see it, or So, as far as there's people you two think represent like the town to push you one way or another, then yeah, for sure you can say I'd like to think about it longer and go talk to those people. You know what I mean, and then bring it back. I mean, it's when we do it. I mean, it's adding liquor license, adding a gaming license. I mean, it's not a small undertaking. Plus, this guy pretty much okayed him to start spending money too. So we don't want to jerk him around and tell him,
Right.
yeah, we kind of think maybe, and then vote no on it, and he starts putting stuff in motion. So
We
know,
see
give
right
them to
move
consider
ahead
too.
tonight, we lose money. He could possibly lose money.
He would rather want a hard yes or a hard no either way. So maybe so.
I'm a table it guy right now.
I said, why don't we see if let's see if he'll want to come to the next meeting and see if he can maybe give us a little breakdown on sales tax and what the machines are doing for him.
Yep.
Or
Well,
I
we're
guess it'd
thinking
be
of
for
you to
Keegan.
benefit it.
I will invite him.
Okay. Me and Brian have been doing some talking as far as the annexation strategy. We've got 2 properties that we're trying to get on the west side of town, on the southwest corner of, what is that?
116 Eden.
Eden, yes. And then one on the northwest corner, or wait, southwest,
That's
northeast,
Copple. We have that.
northeast.
We only actually need one of those two. You don't need them both. We need a sizable chunk out of one of those two. Sizable enough, which is kind of a loose interpretation, but I think we tucked at least a couple 100 feet of road frontage on each one would probably suffice to be sufficient.
But you can't. Can you annex a distant portion of the parcel?
I think they would probably want to split that to do it, but they could avoid annexing the whole thing if they were nervous about that.
My question is this. One, we talked about, I think we need to be more strategic on who we annex. And so, rather than just all comers. And then if we start strategically looking at it, those 2 properties bring us the most. One gets us the big neighborhood, and the other one gets us.
Eden, I think.
Because we got a bunch of people that Eden, that's right?
Yeah.
That are annexed. So that's why those 2 properties were kind of on the list. My strategic question is are we willing to offer incentives? I know legally we can. I've checked that.
We have. The only one who've done it with is Dollar General's farm there. She agreed to annex the whole farm, besides just what she had to for Dollar General. I think if we had dated it 3 years, I think she was getting close to like the senior freeze or something to do with that. So
you just said no increase for 3 years.
yeah, I think she needed 3 years to get to that point where whatever with her age or something, and we went ahead and did
So
it.
the question is for those 2 strategic properties, or I guess for any properties, and I realize we'd have to bring them back and vote on them independently when we get to that point. But are we comfortable going that route in order to pick up? Because I think if we look at the map and we look at where we've annexed, those are the places where we're going to get some sizable real estate tax
So
revenue.
these are like footholds for the surrounding area.
Correct.
Only thing stopping us from the subdivision west of town is one of those 2 properties, because the Copple farm in between is already pre-annexed, and that leads straight into that subdivision with all those relatively new
What about the
iron
Dooley?
houses.
Are Dooley's pre-annexed too?
Yeah, because that's what takes us all the way up. That links us from Hannah City Glassford all the way to Eden Road. At least along the highway frontage, we have everything.
So is that map? That map's not right then.
No, it's out of date.
Yeah, that's probably right. I think there is a chunk there that we don't have that chunk down in the center
Comma's
there.
not on there. I don't
He's
think.
pre-annexed though. That's just. Oh yeah, it doesn't even show him pre, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's pre-annexed too. So yeah, I
We're
don't think
willing
that's
to
right.
if he's not.
Yeah.
Because I know the houses with the lakes, that's already done. That's the
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
If you look at the far left of the blue property, it's the one, the blank area, right, in that space.
Yeah. So, catty corner to the northwest corner of the blue. So, that across there's the Copple Farm.
And then across the road,
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
got that one.
So to get that, we need to take the southwest corner or the northeast corner. Either of those two were contiguous with the Copple Farm up there, and then it would spread all the way through that subdivision. Everything, it would automatically come in. Yeah, exactly. What coals would come in, everything would come in up there.
So what I was thinking is maybe we ought to draft a letter to the people that own those two pieces of property from the mayor that says,
Yeah.
we're interested in annexing your property. If you're willing, we're willing to do X, Y, Z to incent you to do that.
Not his fault.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one's a local owner.
Yeah, and one's a trust. If
Yeah, and I think Bill's office has tried to get a hold of them before, and they were just unresponsive. But you can try again with seeing if that would interest them anymore. West Road.
Because the way it works, the way we've got it set up today, right, wrong, or different, if somebody in the vast area of white up there raises their hand and says they want to pre-annex, we go, okay. And I'm not suggesting that's necessarily bad, but there is downside to it because we're taking on all the cost of permitting and all of those things and the work that comes with that, the cost of the pre-annexation process in the hopes that someday we might connect to them and we get a piece of real estate tax, which we may never get to.
Yeah, some of them are linked to new homes that were built. So the fees are recouped from
Fair enough.
building permits. We were kind of going within 1.5 miles as our general rule, but probably could trim that up a little bit and be more, now that we've got to this point.
I just like to look at each one as it comes in and then have a discussion about it.
So we've turned some down. We had people a long ways away that tried to pre-annex.
Strategically, does that
And there's counties in Peoria County, or there's municipalities in Peoria County that have taken everybody, no matter what, no matter how far away they are. The board never challenged them for some reason, because the county board can challenge anything outside of your 1.5 miles, and they've never done it. But there's some communities that have signed pre-annexation agreements with, 5-6 miles away from town, for better, for worse, probably more for worse. They're never going to get there. But yeah, at this point, with as much as we've done, we could probably pare down our stuff.
nobody's opposed to us looking at that strategically, and nobody's opposed to us. Obviously, we'll have to vote on it on a case-by-case basis, but offering some sort of incentive.
I'd send a letter to them, yeah.
Okay.
good. Anything else, Brian?
Nope.
Okay. Our next meeting is July 20th. Under correspondence, we got thank you from the Hooper Gardner family for making the donation to the Logan Trolley Fire Department. And we also got the Hannah City Volunteer Firemen. And then we also got a thank you from the Hannah City Volunteer Firemen for the donation that was made in reference to the Hooper Gardner. Anything else to come before the board tonight? Make it simple and quick. Yeah.
We're adjourned.
Thanks all. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Todd.
Yep,
Tell Nancy hi.
I'll do that.